Let's get into it. What a week. This t-shirt, two Steamboat Willies kissing. You can't stop us, Disney. That big scary mouse and his army of lawyers, his battalion of attorneys, they can't do a goddamn thing about it. Your precious mascot kissing himself. Famously the gayest thing there is. RFK Jr. claimed on Monday that he had been approached about joining the Trump ticket, tweeting, "President Trump calls me an ultra-left radical. I'm so liberal," that's literally in the text, "that his emissaries asked me to be his VP. I respectfully declined the offer." First of all, what a little gossipy bitch. Love that for him. Second, emissaries is a very dignified word for anyone in Trump's orbit. Trump doesn't dispatch emissaries or attachés. He sends poorly suited goons who say, "That being said," too often and never in the right place. Trump... That being said, Trump's co-campaign manager, Chris LaCivita, denied Kennedy's claim, tweeting, and he spelled it wrong, obviously, "You're a lefty loon that would never be approached to be on the ticket. Sorry." You approach two doors. One is guarded by the dumbest Kennedy on earth who lies constantly. The other is guarded by someone hired by the world's most famous liar to lie on his behalf. Which door do you choose? It doesn't matter. There are tigers behind both fucking doors. On Thursday, the White House issued sanctions against Iranian drone and steel manufacturers after what President Biden called one of the world's largest missile and drone attacks against Israel. You may wonder, why punish the steel industry? Age-old wisdom shows that whoever smelt it dealt it. The Justice Department will reportedly file an antitrust lawsuit against Live Nation, the parent company of Ticketmaster, which drew ire from fans and Congress alike during a debacle over Taylor Swift tickets as soon as next month. But if you want access to the lawsuit sooner, use the artist code POETS. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was missing from the bench during oral arguments on Monday, with the court offering no explanation for his absence. But Thomas was back in action on Tuesday with an absolutely snatched jawline. During those arguments on Tuesday, several justices, including Thomas, expressed skepticism over the DOJ's use of a law about white-collar crime to charge January 6 rioters. The law, known as Sarbanes-Oxley, included a catch-all provision that makes it a crime to obstruct, influence, or impede any official proceeding. In other words, obstructing an official proceeding is definitely a crime if you do it by shredding paper in the dead of night. But if you do it by breaking the windows of a federal building with a fire extinguisher and dropping a hot toddy on Nancy Pelosi's office chair, that's a gray area. Clarence Thomas, back from his mysterious absence, suggested the government was unfairly singling out insurrectionists, saying there have been many violent protests that have interfered with proceedings. Has the government applied this provision to other protests? But it's literally never come up before. Oh, you're grounding all the airplanes because 9/11 just happened? Did you do that the last time 9/11 happened? Justice Sonia Sotomayor pointed this out. We've never had a situation before with people attempting to stop a proceeding violently. You must remember, Clarence, your wife was on the organizing committee. Justice Neil Gorsuch wondered whether the statute could be used to prosecute peaceful protesters, asking this.
Would a sit-in that disrupts a trial or access to a federal courthouse qualify? Would a heckler in today's audience qualify, or at the State of the Union address? Would pulling a fire alarm before a vote qualify for 20 years in federal prison?
And I, for one, say I hope so. I think it's time hecklers go to jail. I guess it's nice. Neil Gorsuch standing up for America's forgotten minority, the heckler. Also on Tuesday, House Republicans sent their two meritless articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas to the Senate. Look, sometimes you don't turn in the group project because it's finished. You turn it in because it's due. Senate Republicans, I got this, including many of the 45 Republicans who in 2021 voted to dismiss Trump's insurrection-related impeachment without a trial, railed against dismissing the impeachment without a trial. Said Ted Cruz, "The Senate has a clear obligation under the Constitution and 200 years of precedent. We need to hold a trial. We need to allow the managers to present the evidence." I love Ted Cruz going off on the importance of the Senate traditions when every single person knows he would come out in favor of replacing the Senate with a dog track if Trump so much as hinted that he'd be into it. Nevertheless, the Senate swiftly voted along party lines to dismiss both charges as unconstitutional, effectively ending the impeachment proceedings. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it's over. Then on Thursday, Republican divisions over Ukraine funding blew up into a big argument on the House floor. Republican Derek Van Orden reportedly threatened Johnson with a motion to vacate over the funding package. NBC News first reported that Van Orden called Johnson Tubby as the pair argued. Whoa, 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 gentlemen, please, some decorum. That word is for human infants and elderly cats. However, Van Orden later clarified that the person he called Tubby was in fact Matt Gaetz. Afterward, Gaetz discussed this on CNN.
Does it surprise you in this climate that people might be saying that? And we heard this from Mr. Massey. We've heard this from Ms. Green.
The only thing I gleaned from it is that Mr. Van Orden is not a particularly intelligent individual.
I'm not Tubby. You're stupid. This is Congress. It must be a nice change of pace for Gaetz to be insulted for his appearance and not for allegedly soliciting sex with minors. Tubby's a step up. Meanwhile, Van Orden said of the insult, that was directed directly at Matt Gaetz. He felt like he could call me a squish, and I wanted to remind anybody who has not been in combat and held his friend's hand as they died being shot by the enemy really doesn't have any business calling someone else a squish, and so in fact I did call him Tubby, and I stand by that. Reminder that this is about a foreign aid bill. I think there's a gas leak at the Capitol. At a campaign event this week, Arizona Senate candidate and woman who backs her white Escalade into your car then yells at you for making her late, Kari Lake, downplayed the implications of Arizona's 1864 near-total abortion ban by saying, you can go 3 hours that way, you can go 3 hours that way, and you're going to be able to have an abortion. There are always other states is not what a candidate for statewide office should ever say. Subway didn't get a restaurant at every corner with the slogan, there's always Quiznos. Oh, if you're so worried about abortion, there's always New Mexico. That's a crazy thing for which you believe is murder. So what's the fucking logic there? Oh, you people are bending this all out of proportion. Murder is still legal in New Mexico. So what's the fuss? Meanwhile, New York health officials have released an advisory that New York City is seeing a rise in cases of leptospirosis, a human infection caused by exposure to rat urine. I'll tell you, New York City isn't what it used to be. I remember when you could slather yourself with rat piss and not have to worry about a goddamn thing. Maybe if Mayor Adams had simply listened to my idea for a teeny tiny bathroom for rats, we wouldn't be in this mess. It was called Ratatouille. So little tiny toilet paper. This week, Tesla paused all sales, deliveries, and even the production of its hilarious Cybertruck. While the company hasn't given any explanation officially, customers suspect it may have something to do with the way the accelerator pedal can get stuck to the floor.
At first I thought the pedal was broken, but then I realized that nope, this was wedged down here under this, not allowing this pedal to come back up. So
this beautifully designed machine, you press the pedal down, the shoddily attached metal thing that attaches the accelerator slides forward and jams so that the accelerator is stuck at flooring it. You're just having a normal day. And then you press the accelerator and that's it. That's it. Tesla's calling it full self-driving. Do you see these things out there on the roads? There's a mall in LA that has one out there. It's sort of like a douchebag fucking, like the same, like the thing that, like a zapper. You know the zapper, it's like that, but for douchebags. Just draws them in. And I found myself approaching it like a fire. You know what I mean? Like I was like afraid to go near it. Like I thought something would happen to me. Speaking of careening toward oblivion, rapidly rising sea temperatures have led to what may be the worst coral bleaching ever on record, affecting 54% of the world's coral. Bleaching occurs when coral gets too hot and forces out all the colorful algae living in its tissue, leaving the coral a bleached white. Like in 2016, when the Kardashians squeezed all the color out of clothes and half the women in LA were walking around in beige sweatsuits like they escaped a very sexy cult. Remember that? Yet in some rare climate positive news, the Earth's projected global temperature increase has actually fallen by a third since 2015, according to the Climate Action Tracker. The world is currently headed towards a disastrous 2.7 degrees Celsius increase by 2100, which comes down to 2.1 degrees when you factor in pledges and targets from countries around the world. It's still well above the 1.5 degree threshold, but down from the almost 4 degree increase we were headed towards a decade ago. The policy changes that we are making are actually having an impact. That's huge. And to celebrate, I've given everyone in the audience a little gift. Check under your seats. You get a leaf blower. And you get a leaf blower. Plastic straws for everybody. A circus elephant named Viola, beautiful name, got loose and roamed through traffic in Butte, Montana this week after she was startled by a vehicle backfiring during her bath.
Oh my God. Only in Butte.
It's like this elephant got loose.
Police had initially pulled the elephant over, but released her on her own recognizance since they didn't have a warrant to search the trunk. And finally, it's official. We have a jury on the Trump hush money case. It was down to the wire being when I wanted to go home and change my shirt before this very show. The former president's legal team started the week off strong with Trump lawyer Alina Habba denying rumors that her client had fallen asleep in court Monday.
I was not there. I find that a remarkable story at best. President Trump, he reads a lot. I don't know what he was doing. I wasn't there. There are no cameras. I wish there were, but...
I'm sorry, he reads a lot? Compared to who? Leah Michelle? That was a swerve. I want you to know, I don't embrace that one. All right, I reject it. I said it, and we should keep it in. I don't feel good about it. Sure, Trump reads a lot. It's a great point. Perhaps he got the idea to fall asleep from one of his books or a scholarly article. He wasn't sleeping. He reads a lot. What are you talking about? By Wednesday, 7 jurors had been selected, but then on Wednesday evening, Jesse Waters went through the information released from the jurors' Wadar questionnaires to attack their credibility. Of the potential jurors' answers, the Fox News host mused,
She said two things that really stuck out. One, quote, I don't really have an opinion of Trump, and, quote, no one is above the law. I'm not so sure about juror number 2.
What Waters is saying here is that liberal Manhattanites who hate Trump know they have to appear impartial to make the jury, and so people who read the Times and have been to the 92nd Street Y to see Rachel Maddow and Brooklyn Dad Defiant in conversation may say they have an open mind, and they don't. And I, for one, hope he's 100% right. In fairness to Mr. Waters, imagine genuinely not having an opinion on Donald Trump. Imagine having seen even one picture of Trump, having heard Trump say a single sentence and still being like, oh, that guy with the impressions of disabled people and the mouth shaped like an asshole didn't really make an impression on me one way or the other. As for juror number 4, well...
Juror number 4 is a Puerto Rican who finds Trump fascinating and mysterious. Quote, he walks into a room and he sets people off one way or the other. I find that really interesting, that this one guy can do all this. Wow.
Joke's on you, Jesse Waters. That juror was dismissed for, it says here, tearing down Republican political posters. Okay, so you got us on that one. Meanwhile, juror number 6 is a Disney employee in her 20s that made the court laugh by asking if the trial will be over by September, as she's scheduled to be a bridesmaid at her sister's wedding. A Disney adult could really swing either way. They're unpredictable politically. Does she love Cinderella because of her hardscrabble beginnings? Or does she love Cinderella because she has tiny feet and will marry the first guy with money who shows her the slightest affection? I'm sorry, I'm incepting new realizations about Cinderella. As far as we can tell, she's been on one date. She's worn a dress once and went on one date. Trump later posted to X, "They are catching undercover liberal activists lying to the judge in order to get on the Trump jury," and attributed the quote to Waters, which violates Trump's gag order. But it's true. If you look very closely at the jurors, you can see their tiny tan lines from where they took out their septum piercings. I wish. On Thursday, 2 of the already confirmed Trump jurors were dismissed. One juror said they were concerned that personal information released in the jury questionnaire could make them identifiable and that their fear could affect their decision-making in the courtroom. Continued the juror, even right now, the defendant is doing a throat-slitting motion and mouthing, "Be careful, Rebecca." And that's my name, Rebecca. Oh, God, why did I say it out loud? At least I didn't say my last name, which is Stevens. Oh, no, what's wrong with me? Dismiss me. I'm begging you. I have to get back to 373 East 85th Street. Oh, God. According to The Times, one potential juror was grilled about social media posts from 2016. In one post, she called Trump racist, sexist, and a narcissist. She stops as she's reading her own post and says, "Oops, that sounds bad." This is a good rule for posting. Before you post something mean about someone you hate, ask yourself, if this were read aloud in a courtroom, would it fuck up my one and only chance to sit on this asshole's jury? And then go ahead and hit send anyway, baby, because posting isn't about tomorrow. It's about right now. And right now is all we have, and at least you won't have to eat Jersey Mike's for lunch because all the other bozos on some jury picked Jersey Mike's. Should have been Subway. But we used Subway earlier. You'd have laughed if it was Subway. Because bozos pick Subway, but actually Jersey Mike's I think has more, people are be more pumped about Jersey Mike's, right? Yeah, for sure. That's why it didn't work. Jersey Mike's just better. Isn't it weird that it's just better? Subway's been beat. What's it doing everywhere? You're never thrilled. You're never excited. McDonald's is the same everywhere. You know exactly what you want to get. But if you're excited about McDonald's, you're fucking pumped to go to McDonald's. You could be excited about a Jersey Mike. Whenever you're walking out of Subway being like, "Yeah, I can't wait to get into this. I love the way the bread doesn't smell like bread, but smells like that Subway smell everywhere." In 100% of Subways, that we all know what bread smells like. We've all smelled bread, and we know Subway smells like what they think bread smells like, but we know that's not what bread smells like. It's not even another flavor. It's Subway. Subways smell like Subway. That is the smell of their bread, and it's not a smell of food. So what's that about? According to CBS, the judge did dismiss a man who had posted about Trump, "Get him out and lock him up." I love this jury poll. And in the end, 12 impartial patriots, dedicated citizens, were officially impaneled as jurors. Before jury selection even began on Thursday, however, the judge took a moment to address an issue that had plagued the prosecution, the defense, the jury pool, and the gathered media: the fact that the courtroom was fucking freezing. "I want to apologize that it's chilly in here," Mershon told the prospective jurors, drawing laughs. "We're trying to do the best we can to control the temperature, but it's one extreme or the other." Wow. One extreme or another. Isn't that our politics? Isn't that fitting? Isn't that a laugh? All the coral is dying.